Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful and the most beneficent. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I welcome to all of you in the course of 19th century English novel. I hope that by now you would have studied Charles Dickens' novel Great Expectations and Jane Austen's novel Emma. As far as Charles Dickens' novel Great Expectations is concerned, it belongs to Victorian age, and in this novel Charles Dickens has talked about the social issues of the working or the labor class. It's a wonderful story of Pip, the orphan boy. And as far as Jane Austen's novel Emma is concerned, Emma, like other novels of Jane Austen, also revolves around the theme of love and marriage. The novel today we are going to talk about also belongs to Victorian age, and it is Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. So we are going to talk about today Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre also belongs to Victorian age. When we compare Charlotte Bronte's novels with the novels of Charles Dickens, we see that there is a considerable difference. Number one, Charles Dickens' novels lack passions and feelings. As far as the novels of Charlotte Bronte are concerned, there is ample evidence of passions and emotions in her novels. She has introduced passions in her novels, and it is something new in Victorian novel. Another thing which is very important in Charlotte Bronte's novels is that she has talked about being a female writer. She has talked about the issues of female characters. As far as this novel is concerned, in this novel, she has portrayed the inner feelings and emotions of female characters like Jane Eyre and Bertha Mason. And in this, she has portrayed the apprehensions, the fears, the phobias of the female characters of her novels. So from this point of view, the psychological element which had started in 18th century and ultimately it reached its peak in the novels of George Eliot, we see that psychological element is also evident or present in the novels of Charlotte Bronte. As I have already said, that psychological element is clearly present in the novels of Charlotte Bronte, and particularly in her novel Jane Eyre. In this novel, she has tried to probe into the inner selves of her female characters, particularly the character of Jane Eyre and the character of Bertha Mason, and try to show her readers what is happening in their inner selves. Today, dear students, we are going to talk about paranormal experiences or paranormal activities that take place in Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. As far as the word paranormal is concerned, paranormal means supernatural. So throughout this lecture, when I am talking about paranormal activities or paranormal experiences or supernatural elements, I mean one and the same thing. So dear students, we see how Charlotte Bronte has introduced paranormal experiences in her novel Jane Eyre, and what is her purpose of introducing these paranormal activities or experiences or supernatural experiences, supernatural elements in her novel. Before talking about paranormal experiences or supernatural elements in Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. Dear students, I would like to give you a brief introduction of Charlotte Bronte. Charlotte Bronte was born in 1816 and died in 1855. She was a Victorian novelist. She was a daughter of a clergyman, and interestingly, she also married to a clergyman. Because of this, religious influence is very much prominent in her novels. Out of 6 children, 3 sisters, Emily Bronte, Anne Bronte, and Charlotte Bronte, they were novelists, and all the 3 sisters have produced great novels during Victorian age. During Victorian age, female writers had no freedom or had no permission to go outside and publish their literary works with their names, because it was a fear pervasive in the Victorian society that if female writers are publishing literary works, they will be unable to get a wider audience, or their readership will not be as great as is the readership of male writers. So Charlotte Bronte published her novels under the pseudonym of Currer Bell, which was of course a masculine name. Her life had become a struggle because of family poverty. The 3 sisters were physically also not robust or very strong. Charlotte Bronte herself was of a short stature, and she was suffering from headache and fits of depression. Emily Bronte, the sister of Charlotte Bronte, achieved fame as the author of a novel called Wuthering Heights. I have already told you that the 3 sisters won lot of fame and popularity by creating great novels during Victorian period. As far as the second sister of Charlotte Bronte, Anne Bronte, is concerned, she published a novel called Agnes Grey. It is remarkable that all the 3 sisters used pseudonyms, while Jane Eyre appeared under the name of Currer Bell. Wuthering Heights appeared under the pseudonym of Alice Bell, and Agnes Grey appeared under the assumed name of Acton Bell. The reason why the 3 sisters adopted masculine names was that they had a feeling that female authors did not receive the same recognition of their literary works which their rival male authors did. In any case, for a considerable time, the real identities of the 3 sisters remained unknown to the reading public of the period. And the critics, because the novels were published under pseudonyms, they were unaware of the real authors of these literary works. It is also important and noteworthy that it was Charlotte Bronte who managed to go outside and tried to publish her own novels as well as the novels of her sisters. Charlotte Bronte has depicted in her novels those strong romantic passions which were generally avoided by Dickens and Thackeray. I have already mentioned this thing, that this is great contribution of Charlotte Bronte, that she has introduced the element of passions in English novel. She brought lyrical warmth and the play of strong feeling into the novel. In her masterpiece Jane Eyre, her dreams and resentments kindle every page. Her other novels are The Professor, Villette, and Shirley. In all of these novels, we find Charlotte Bronte as a mistress of wit, irony, accurate observation, and a style full of impassioned eloquence. The paranormal or the supernatural is one of the main themes in Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. There are many instances of dreams, visions, and unexplainable circumstances which may be dubbed as what is otherworldly or what is paranormal experience or supernatural element in the novel. In addition to dreams, visions, and unexplainable circumstances, there is the theme of the Gothic, which links to the paranormal and includes circumstances such as the noises and laughs of Bertha Mason, the representation of Jane Eyre's character, the description of Red Room, and then finally description of Thornfield Hall. All these things uh, tell us about the paranormal experiences or the supernatural elements in the novel. Though it is not right to describe Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre as a full Gothic novel, because Gothic novel is the genre which was introduced in Romantic Age. Particularly, it was introduced by uh, Mary Shelley and Miss Anne Radcliffe. And as far as Victorian age is concerned, in Victorian age, Gothic novel was deteriorating and declining. But as far as Charlotte Bronte is concerned, Charlotte Bronte has beautifully incorporated some supernatural experiences or paranormal activities in the novel, because of which it can be said that as far as Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre is concerned, to some extent, it also falls under the genre of Gothic novels. The famous psychologist Carl Jung was interested in the collective unconscious or the primordial images and ideas that reside in every human being's psyche, often appearing in the form of dreams, visions, and fantasies. These images provoke strong emotions that are beyond the explanation of reason. So, when such things happen in our daily lives, we are unable to explain them from rational point of view, but from another point of view, from psychological point of view, they have deeper meaning, and they throw light on the personality of the characters. In Jane Eyre, the bounds of reality continually expand so that dreams and visions have as much validity as reason. And these dreams provide us access to the inner recesses of Jane Eyre's and Rochester's psyches. Their relationship also has a supernatural component. Dear students, as I have already said, that as far as the genre of Gothic novel is concerned, it was popular in Romantic Age, and the main Gothic novelists are Horace Walpole, Miss Anne Radcliffe, and Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. Particularly, Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein has become one of the seminal works or one of the representative works of Gothic novels. So, Gothic novels were basically created in Romantic Age. Yet, as far as the novels created in Victorian Age also have some Gothic elements in them, and because of which we see that there is continuity of the genre of Gothic novels from Romantic Age to Victorian Age. Particularly when we talk of Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre, we see that there are many Gothic elements in the novel. As far as the description of Thornfield is concerned, we are told that it is a mysterious building with a gloomy atmosphere. And then we also, from the third building, from the third story, we also hear the mysterious laughter of Bertha Mason, the mad woman, the mad wife of Mr. Rochester, from the attic. And then We also come to know about the ghost of Mr. Reed, where 10 years old Jane Eyre is asked to live, and there is only a little light in that room. If there is any light, that light is provided by a candle. And at the end of the novel, we come to know about the enigmatic fire that blinds Mr. Rochester. So, all these incidents, and like these incidents in the novel, make Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre a gothic novel. There are more instances in this novel which relate to the paranormal activities or supernatural elements in the novel. In the coming uh, uh, in the coming section of my lecture, I'll be talking about these paranormal activities or supernatural elements in detail with examples. Throughout the novel, Jane Eyre is described as a fairy. Sitting in the Red Room, she labels herself a tiny phantom, half fairy, half imp, from one of Bessie's bedtime stories, a spirit creature that comes out of lone ferny dells in moors. As a fairy, Jane Eyre identifies herself as a special magical creature and reminds the readers of the importance that imagination plays in her life. Jane Eyre's dreams have a prophetic character, suggesting their almost supernatural ability to predict the future in a dream, foreshadowing the direction of her relationship with Rochester. She is tossed on a buoyant but unquiet sea. Jane's dreams warns her that their relationship will be rocky and it will bring chaos and passions into her life. Similarly, Jane Eyre's dreams of infants are also prophetic and they indicate impending trouble in Jane's life. Charlotte Bronte not only describes Jane, a mysterious creature, a mythical creature, but the narrative she creates also has a mythic and mysterious element in which Charlotte Bronte mixes realism with fantasy. We see the first instance of this as Jane Eyre sits nervously in the Red Room and imagines a gleam of light shining on the wall. For her, this indicates a vision from another world. Generally, supernatural occurrences such as these serve as transition points in the novel, and they indicate drastic changes in Jane's life. For example, Jane's departure from Gateshead was marked by her pseudo supernatural experience in the Red Room. Her movement away from Lowood also has a paranormal component. Meditating upon the best means for discovering a new job, Jane is in her room, and there she is visited by a kind fairy who offers her a good solution. This psychic counselor gives Jane Eyre very specific advice, and the advice is that she should place an advertisement in the local newspaper with answers addressed to J.E., that is Jane Eyre, and she does it immediately. The fairy plan we see that works, and Jane soon discovers the job at Thornfield. Charlotte Bronte emphasizes the uniqueness of Jane and Rochester's love. Both lovers are represented as if they were mythical characters. Bronte gives their meetings a mythical feel so that they are depicted as archetypes of true lovers. Jane Austen's association of Rochester's horse and dog with the mythical Gytrash places their initial meeting in an almost fairy tale like setting. Later, Rochester reveals that at this initial meeting, it was his impression that Jane was a fairy who had bewitched his horse, and he repeatedly refers to Jane Eyre as a sprite or elfin character, which means that the men in green are Jane Eyre's relatives. The lovers' reunion at the end of the novel also has a psychic component. As Jane Eyre is about to accept St. John's wishes, St. John's proposal, Jane Eyre experiences a sensation as sharp, as strange, as shocking as an electric shock. Then she hears Rochester's voice calling her name. The voice comes from nowhere, speaking in pain and woe, widely, eerily, urgently. So powerful is this voice that Jane cries, I am coming, and runs out of the door into the garden, but she discovers there is no sign of Rochester. She rejects the notion that this is the devilish voice of witchcraft, but feels that it comes from benevolent nature, not a miracle, but nature's best effort to help her, as if the forces of nature are assisting this very special relationship. Charlotte Bronte has introduced the ideal of telepathic bond between the lovers. The psychic sympathy leads Jane Eyre to hear Rochester's frantic call for her, and for Rochester to pick her response out of the wind. In fact, he even correctly intuits that her response came from some mountainous place. Through the novel's supernatural elements, Jane and Rochester become archetypes of ideal lovers, as I have already said, sporting Jane's exorbitant claim that no one was ever nearer to her mate than I am. These mythic elements transform their relationship from ordinary to extraordinary. So what we see in this novel, that there are examples upon examples which illustrate that Charlotte Bronte has introduced paranormal experiences or supernatural elements in her novel Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre's imagination connects realism and supernaturalism in the novel. It is her imagination where we as the reader see that realism and supernaturalism merge and helps us to understand the psychology of Jane Eyre's character. Basically, realism and supernaturalism is basic to character and plot, and we see that how through the merger of and the merger or the blend of realism and supernaturalism, Charlotte Bronte has woven the structure of her novel. The scene at Gateshead in the Red Room is very much important or significant in this case. This is the first example of Jane Eyre's encounters with the supernatural events. Jane Eyre sees a spirit in the Red Room, and she believes that this is the spirit of Mr. Reeds. The spirit of Mr. Reeds has come back from the dead land, from the dead world, and Jane is haunted by such experiences throughout the rest of her life. As she says in the novel, as Jane says in the novel, I thought the swift darting beam was a herald of some coming vision from another world. My heart beat thick, my head grew hot, a sound filled my ears, which I deemed the rushing of wings, someone near me. So, through this description, we see that the Red Room is described as if it were a mysterious place, as if it were a haunted room. It is described as dark. The Red Room is dark like blood. It produces strange noises and has a large mirror that distorts Jane's appearance. This room is described as a death chamber because the late Mr. Reed, the uncle of Jane Eyre, died there, because of which it is described as death chamber. None of the member of the Reed family goes in that room, because even the adults don't go in that room because they are afraid of going over there. They think that the spirit of Mr. Reed is there. But we see the cruelty of Aunt Reed, that she asks Jane Eyre to stay in that room, which is a haunted one. The idea of the paranormal is introduced in the novel right from the first chapter. I have already told you that Jane is locked in the Red Room as a punishment, and there she has an encounter with what she believes is some kind of ghost or some sort of spirit. When she sees over there, she is stupefied. And just imagine that she is a child of 10 years old and she is locked in a room that is mysterious, that is haunted one. Even the adult members of the family are afraid of visiting that room, but she is locked over there. This also indicates the cruelty and violence of her aunt and the Reed family. The whole idea of the ghostly world terrifies Jane so much, and we see that Jane Eyre is portrayed over here as a timid and worrisome child. Definitely she is when she was living at Gateshead. The fact that her aunt Reed and the maid Bessie don't believe, it means that Jane was so terrified that she dreamed this vision up, but nothing is clarified and the whole incident is shrouded in mystery. It lessens the gap we feel between the real world of the novel and the fantasies dreamed up by Jane. So it is through by mingling facts and fantasies, dreams and the supernatural and the real, that Charlotte Bronte has woven the structure of this novel. There are examples upon examples of paranormal experiences or supernatural elements in Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. And through these paranormal experiences or supernatural elements, we gain an insight into the inner selves of her characters. Another aspect of the supernatural shown from the beginning of the novel is the fairy stories told by Bessie, the maid to the children. Bessie tells the stories of fairies and elves and pixies. spinning tales for Jane and her cousins that keep them enthralled, and this is very important and it foreshadows what happens later on in the novel. We see that later on in the novel, when Rochester describes Jane as an elf, a pixie, and even a witch, Jane can relate to these things from Rochester because she has been so well acquainted with them as a child. The stories Bessie tells also add mystery and suspense in the novel. It is through these stories Bessie, right in the beginning of the novel, try to engage and attract the attention of the children. But later on, we see that these stories take a real form and shape when Rochester and other characters, when Bertha Mason, Jane Eyre, and other characters are described in these terms or from these perspective. Locked inside the room, Jane Eyre views her reflection consisting of white face, arms specking the gloom, and glittering eyes filled with fear. Because of this image in the mirror, Jane Eyre describes herself as a real spirit, something unearthly. Through this, Jane also realizes that she is different from the other members of the Reed family. She is plain and small, however, because of her glittering eyes, she is different as well. She is also different from them. At Thornfield, Jane puts out a fire in Rochester room, which is probably set by Bertha Mason, the mad wife of Mr. Rochester. Jane Eyre hears a loud sound and strange laughter from the third story. All these, and then she goes over there and then she tries to put out a fire. All these mysterious events are basically paranormal experiences or supernatural elements in the novel, and they contribute to the Gothic theme of the novel as well. Another example of the use of supernatural element in the novel is the description of Thornfield Hall, where Jane Eyre goes for her job. The idea of it being an ancestral home gives it a Gothic feel. The decoration is dark, dated, and labored with secrets and memories of the past, which create an archaic and enigmatic vision of a Gothic castle image. It is a Gothic castle, and this impression is reinforced by the strange laughter that comes from the attic door. Bertha Mason is rarely visible, but as far as her laughter is concerned, throughout the novel, it is pervasive, it is present, and it creates a strange and mysterious feelings. Later, in her description of the house, Jane comments on the passages and the house having trap doors like a corridor in some of Bluebeard's castle, and this reminds us of the French fairy tale Beauty and the Beast. In that French tale, we see that a duke kills his former wives and locks their dead bodies in the closet. When he marries next time, he asks his new wife not to see into the closets. But when the wife sees into the closet, there she discovers the dead bodies of Duke's former wives, and finally she is also killed by that Duke. So the allusions, the literary references and allusions like these, and the events and incidents like these create a gothic atmosphere in the novel, and all these paranormal activities and supernatural elements create an element of suspense and mystery in the novel. At Thornfield, Jane Eyre represses many of her fears due to the presence of Bertha Mason. Bertha Mason's presence has negative effect on the personality and character of Jane Eyre. Bertha is described as a woman with savage face and red eyes, as if she were a vampire, and later on we see that in the novel it is she who sucks the blood from the wound of Mr. Rochester, and it is also Bertha Mason who puts fire the bedroom of Mr. Rochester. Charlotte Bronte has deliberately described Bertha as a supernatural creature. Bertha may be seen as a symbolic of forces that try to destroy Jane's happiness and home. That is greatest fear in Jane's mind since Rochester proposes her. Since Rochester's proposal, constantly this thing is there in Bertha's mind, that something bad, some bad omen or something wrong may happen, because of which she will be unable to marry Rochester. So the presence of Bertha is that negative force in the novel. At Moor House, Jane becomes friendly with the members of the family, particularly with St. John and his brothers and sisters. She becomes so frank and friendly with the family that ultimately she agrees to marry St. John and is ready to go to India for missionary cause. But then there is the mysterious voice of then Jane Eyre listens to the mysterious voice of Rochester that disturbs her, and finally Jane Eyre postpones her decision to marry St. John and decides to listen to the voice of her heart, decides to go after Rochester, and finally we see that at the end of the novel there is union of Rochester and Jane Eyre. When Jane Eyre is ready to marry St. John and is determined to go to India for missionary cause, she listens to Rochester's mysterious, painful voice, which reminds Jane Eyre that she should pursue Rochester. Otherwise, throughout her life, she will have to live with regret. And Rochester, later on, when he meets Jane Eyre, he tells her that on the same night he was calling Jane Eyre. So in this way, Charlotte Bronte blends real with the supernatural, real with the paranormal, and tries to develop the plot of the novel, and also in this way, through the merger of paranormal and real, she tries to unite the characters as well. And finally, we see that there is union of Rochester and Jane Eyre, and happily they are wedded. Charlotte Bronte introduces this mysterious otherworldly connection between Jane and Rochester to suggest and to tell the readers that Jane Eyre and Rochester are two souls. They are meant for one another and nothing can separate them from each other. Even the forces of life, the invisible forces, they are also there to support the two lovers. In Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre, supernatural and mystical forces play an important role throughout the novel. There are many coincidences in the novel that suggest that a greater invisible force is at work as far as the development of this story is concerned. Dreams, premonitions, and visions also have their place within the text, and there are certain examples that seem to guide Jane as she embarks upon her journey. We see that Jane Eyre from a young age has fascination with the magic and the unexplained, and it is exactly such an unexplainable event that reunites Jane and Mr. Rochester at the novel's end. I have already explained that basically it is because of the mysterious and remote voice, distant voice, which disturbs Jane Eyre and makes her change her decision. It is because of that mysterious voice she rejects the proposal of Saint John, and uh, she discontinues, or she defers her decision to go to India for missionary purposes, and she decides to listen to her heart, listens to her inner voice, listens to the beneficial and the friendly voice which is invisible, definitely coming from the surrounding atmosphere. It may be nature, and ultimately she goes over there, she search for Mr. Rochester, and ultimately both are united with each other. Charlotte Bronte introduces paranormal activities or supernatural experiences in the novel to create the element of drama and suspense in the novel. And we see that it is because of these paranormal activities or supernatural elements that the readers are fully engrossed and engaged in the novel. They are in a suspense that what is going to happen with Jane Eyre, what is going to happen with Bertha Mason, what is going to happen with Mr. Rochester at next step. So by introducing paranormal experiences in the novel, Charlotte Bronte engages the attention of her readers and makes her story a gripping story. Definitely, Charlotte Bronte was a great storyteller, and we see that her skill is prominent over here. The way she has woven the structure of and the it created the plot and the story of this novel through the paranormal experiences, that is par excellence. Bronte has incorporated paranormal activities also in the novel to emphasize the eerie, strange presence that keeps on haunting Jane Eyre throughout her life. And it is because of this that she, even at her adult age, she listens to the mysterious voices, and she gives greater importance to the mysterious events and incidents that take place in our life, and tries to understand them, and finally tries to relate them with her life. Charlotte Bronte has used many paranormal experiences and supernatural elements in the novel to add the element of drama and suspense in Jane Eyre. But the novel is not just a ghost story because of these paranormal experiences and supernatural elements, because Bronte also reveals the reasons behind supernatural events. For instance, Mr. Reed's ghost in the Red Room is a figment of Jane's stressed out mind, while Bertha Mason is the demon in Thornfield. In Jane Eyre, the effects of the supernatural matter more than the causes. The supernatural allows Bronte to explore her characters' psyches, especially Jane Eyre's inner fears. The climactic supernatural moment in the novel occurs when Jane and Rochester have a telepathic connection. In the novel, Jane makes it clear that the connection was not supernatural to her. Instead, she considers that moment a mysterious spiritual connection was there between Rochester and her. Charlotte Bronte makes their telepathy part of her connection of love and religion. In Jane Eyre, has attempted to depict a complex female identity, and she expresses Jane Eyre's consciousness through an extraordinary range of narrative devices. Psychological development and the dramas of the inner life are represented in form of dreams, hallucination, visions, surrealistic paintings, and masquerades. The sexual experiences of the female body are expressed specially through elaborate and rhythmic recurring images of rooms and houses. Jane's growth is further structured through a pattern of literary, biblical, and mythological allusions in the novel. So, Charlotte Bronte use of supernatural elements in the novel is as functional and serves a great purpose as Shakespeare has introduced the ghost in his well-known drama Hamlet. Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre has deeper implications, and it can be read in modern times from different perspectives, particularly from postmodern, post-colonial, and feministic perspective. From postmodern perspective, we see that there is multiplicity of narrative voices in the novel, though the voice of Jane Eyre is prominent as a narrator. Similarly, the novel can be explored and investigated from post-colonial perspective, particularly in case of the relationship between Mr. Rochester and his mad wife Bertha Mason. And later on, we see that how this relationship establishes between Mr. Rochester and Jane Eyre. The novel can also be explored from feministic perspective, particularly we see that how in a patriarchal society the two women, Jane Eyre and Bertha Mason, are treated by men of the society. As far as Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre is concerned, as I have already said, that it has deeper implications, and in modern times we see that its modern version of Jane Eyre is Jane Rice's novel White Sargasso Sea, in which she has transformed the story of Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. White Sargasso Sea has great resemblance with Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. However, there is difference between the two as well. Jane Rye has transformed the mad wife of Mr. Rochester, Bertha Mason, into the lively yet vulnerable Antoinette Causeway. Antoinette is no longer a cliche or a foreign, possibly half-caste lunatic like Bertha Mason, but a real woman with her own hopes, fears and desires. White Sargasso Sea tells her side of the story as well as Rochester's, detailing how she ended up alone and driving in attic of Thornfield Hall. It gives a voice not only to her but to the black people in the West Indies, whom Rochester regards with such hatred. The characters of Jane Eyre and Anto and White Sargasso Sea are very similar. They are both independent, particularly in case of Jane Eyre and Antoinette. We see that both female characters are independent, vivacious, imaginative young women with troubled childhoods, educated in religious establishments, and they are looked down upon by the upper classes, and of course they both marry Mr. Rochester. However, Antoinette is more rebellious than Jane Eyre and less mentally stable, possibly because she has to live throughout more distressing circumstances. Antoinette displays a deep vein of morbidity verging on a death wish, similar to the character of Helen from Jane Eyre, and in contrast with Jane's overt Christianity, holds a cynical viewpoint of both God and religious in general. So we see that even in modern times, Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre has great scope and appeal. Even the writers, particularly as I have quoted the case of Jane Rice, White Sargasso Sea, the writers are molding and refurbishing Charlotte Bronte's story of Jane Eyre, and they are interpreting it in from new perspective, and they are relating it to present times. Dear students, at the end of my lecture, I am going to recommend you some books which can be helpful for improving your reading and understanding of the paranormal experiences in Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. You can also use books published by Kitab Mahal and famous publishers, and you can also browse the net. On net there is a lot of material on the topic of paranormal experiences or supernatural elements in Jane Eyre. I have also benefited from those sources which are available on the net, and besides the books the books published by Kitab Mahal and famous, and the material that is available on net on different websites, I would like to recommend a few books, a few articles as well. One of them which is very important is Wen Hui article, the discussion on the Gothic features in Jane Eyre's. Second article which can be very helpful for you people is Freeman, Speech and Silence in Jane Eyre. And next is Lorber, haunted by passion, supernaturalism, and feminism in Jane Eyre and Villetti. Jankova, the Gothic and supernatural metamorphosis of the Byronic hero in Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre is also helpful for this purpose. So you can use all these material, all this material to enhance your understanding of the different themes which have been explored by Charlotte Bronte in her novel Jane Eyre. At the end of my lecture, dear students, I am thankful to you for your patience. Keep one thing in your mind, work hard, inshallah success will one day kiss your feet. So wish you good luck. Allah Pak may bless you and be always with you. Allah Hafiz.